Good morning, everyone. This is a meeting of the Licensing Act 2003 Subcommittee of the London Borough of Newham for a variation premises licence application for Altmore Office. Please note that the meeting will be available after the meeting on the Council's YouTube channel. In accordance with the Members' Code of Conduct, the three councillors on the committee today are required to declare any relevant interests on any matter being considered at this meeting. I have no interest to declare. Councillor Vaughan?
I'm not interested.
Councillor Chappell?
I have no interest.
I'll now move on to introductions. My name is Councillor Tony Bolson. I represent Beckton Ward and I'll be chairing the meeting throughout. Councillor Lofthouse?
Councillor Jane Lofthouse, good morning, representing Plaster South.
Councillor Winston Vaughan, representing Forest Against South Ward.
Thank you. Case officer?
Colin Hunt, licensing enforcement.
Thank you. And the applicant?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Dishantan Mahendran. I'm the applicant. And
My name's Frank Fender, representing the applicant this
Thank
morning.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Frank. I'll now briefly run through the procedure of this meeting. The licensing case officer will present their report. We then move to representations from the responsible authorities, for example, the Trading Standards Environmental Health. Members can seek clarification and so can the applicant or their representatives on any matters. We have representation today from a resident against the application, and a copy of this letter is attached as Appendices B. The licence holder will then present their case. Finally, members may pass a resolution to deliberate in private and exclude the press and public, including the parties and their representatives. Clerk and legal advisor will remain with members to provide advice on procedure and law. When the decision has been reached, the meeting will reconvene and the decision of the subcommittee will be announced in public. Full written copies of the decision sent to the applicant, licence holder, responsible authorities and interested parties, usually within 5 working days. Parties who have taken part in this hearing may appeal against the decision to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days. As this is an administrative hearing under the 2003 Act, we are not trained lawyers, so rely on legal advice from our legal department, today represented by
Mr. Ken Foote.
Thank you, Ken. I would also like to inform all parties that we base our decision on written and oral submissions. The clerk will take minutes of the meeting. Would you like to introduce yourself, Paul? Thank you. If anyone in the chamber wishes to speak or ask a question during the meeting, I would ask you to raise your hand and wait to be invited. Could you make sure that all mobiles are silent or switched off before we start? Case officer, Colin, would you like to present your report?
Chair. Members of the licensing subcommittee are determining an application for a variation for 185 Altmore Avenue, East Ham, E6 2BT, and the applicant is Mr. Mahendran. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. An application for a variation was received by the licensing authority on the 14th of February 2024. This was advertised at the premises and in the local paper, and a copy of the application is attached to appendix. The application is for the following: supply of alcohol off the premises Sunday to Thursday 9 till midnight, Friday and Saturday 9 till 0100 hours the following day. Opening hours Sunday to Thursday 7 till midnight and Friday and Saturday 0700 to 0100 hours the following day. A resident has made representation against the application on the licensing objective of prevention of public nuisance and the protection of children from harm, and a copy of this letter is attached Appendix B. Please have submitted conditions to be added to the licence that have received after receiving the application to vary the licence. These have been agreed by the applicant and sent to the resident to consider. The agreed conditions are attached to Appendix C. The licence holder's agent has responded to the letter of representation from the residents. The email is attached to Appendix D. When the licensing authority decide to impose conditions on the licence, such conditions must be appropriate and proportionate for the promotion of the licensing objective. Conditions should be clear and unequivocal. The Secretary of State has issued guidance to the licensing authority to which they must have regards in carrying out their licensing function. Members of the subcommittee should note that copies of the license guidance are available at the meeting of the subcommittee. Alternatively, copies can be obtained directly from the committee clerk. Licensing authority may only depart from the guidance if they have good reason to do so. The premises held a premises license since 2005. where previously they held a licence under the Former Justice Act. This licence was converted and came into force on 24th of November 2005. The licence has been transferred a number of times, the last being on the December 2023 to the current licence holder. The current licence is attached to Appendix E. A map of the area is attached to Appendix F. Members of the subcommittee are asked to hear the application, representation from the licence holder and any valid representation received from responsible authorities and to determine the application. And that concludes the report. Chair, I've had an email this morning off the resident. Just for the records, it's in relation to attendance. They've emailed at 10:07 this morning, saying that they're unable to attend the hearing due to a family member taken ill and they've got to travel to France, and they've asked for the hearing to be adjourned in the email. I have that, so I can circulate that. Also, attached to the email was a ticket, and it's got to P&O departing Wednesday the 10th of April 2024 8:25, arriving 10th of April 2024 at 11 o'clock, and there's the resident's name with four other sort of attendees. That's it looks like Mr., Mrs. and then 3 children. Ticket, and I can circulate that.
Okay, thank you. So with regards to resident not being here to make representation, we have 2 options. They've asked for an adjournment. And I just wanted to make sure that us from the committee are all in agreement that this hearing should go ahead.
I think it should go ahead, yes.
Thank you, councillor.
Yeah.
Oh, and by law, just for the record,
Section 20 under the hearing regs, he's advised you he won't be attending, and so you can proceed.
thank you. Right, now we have read, as you said, we've looked at, or you've read out the representation, that has to be noted and taken into consideration on its own merit. But we're going to start then immediately with Colin. Firstly, with regards to your report, you said the premises has changed hands many times.
A number of times.
Number of times. How many times? Could you tell me?
I can. I haven't got it on me, but I can. Give me a sec. Okay, so to you, it looks like from 2005, it's been 3, including yourself. So 2 previously to this.
Right, okay. And just so that we're clear, the extra times they've asked for, Monday through Thursdays, an extra 2 hours a day, Friday, Saturday, 3 hours.
Double check that. No, it's like slightly more. Hang on a sec. The current license,
It's up until
sorry,
9 until 11.
I've got it here. I'll read out the hours that they've got already.
Yeah.
So supply of alcohol Monday to Sunday every day from 9 till 2300 hours.
Right,
So that's an increase of an hour Sunday to Thursday and 2 hours on Friday and Saturday, correct? The start times are exactly the same. So they're asking for an extra hour during the week and an extra 2 hours Friday and
Saturday.
Friday and Saturday.
The time is slightly different.
Yeah,
I've got 9 o'clock.
The current licence allows from 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week.
that's what's it,
Asking-
3 hours,
Oh, no, supply of alcohol.
opening time.
Sorry, I
I'm
thought.
only going on alcohol.
All right,
You can open when you like, as far as I can't sell alcohol from 9 until 9.
yeah,
Oh, you've got, just to clarify, Chair, the alcohol sales every day from 9 till 23, that's what they've got at the moment.
right,
The new hours are Sunday to Thursday, 9, which is the same timing for the sale of alcohol, till midnight. So that's an extra hour.
Right, yeah,
Sunday to Thursday. Friday and Saturday, it's till 1 o'clock. So that's 2 hours on a Friday and Saturday. Frank is correct with the hours. Opening time, they're asking for an extra hour.
an hour
Just open.
opening.
It's not a license.
Yeah, no, okay. Thank you. Would you like to bring up the picture of the premises, please?
Sure. Just a sec. So that's the picture of the premises, Chair.
Right, so because I'm a bit confused, which one's 103 and which one?
Okay, so if I spin this round, I'll go up the road a little bit. So if I spin it back round. Sorry, I haven't got my mouse, so I'm a bit slow. So that's Altmore. That's what we're dealing with today.
Right,
If you're looking this way, if you carry on up there, you're going up to High Street North.
right, okay,
Spin round a bit more. That one is 101 Burgess Road.
right.
So
So ours is to the left,
so it's literally, this is 101.
yeah.
That is
103.
185 at Altmore. And carry on up there, you're going up, so that's towards High Street North, yeah.
Okay.
So this road here is Altmore Road
Avenue, yeah,
Avenue.
Avenue,
This is Burgess Road. That's why although they're quite opposite each other, that's why they're two different addresses.
right, okay. Is there any way that you can zoom in on the premises?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Can zoom in as much. Ooh. Sorry.
Can I ask why you're doing that, if that's the right, Chair?
Yes,
Is this current?
No,
No.
no.
Is this as it looks at the moment?
No, this is just Google. So I think there's a date on this. This is March 2022.
Oh,
right.
It's not fundamentally changing position, but I mean, you may have changed the issue of it.
window display.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they've changed at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we'll ask him when we come to you, yeah?
that's just to show you the
Yeah.
layout and where it is.
Right, okay,
Okay. that-
right. Okay, thank you. Also, whilst you're there, could you tell me, I can see two, are there any other premises with liquor license? And if so, and also 101, could you give me what their opening and closing times are in
Do
Salem?
that first, because I've got that one up.
Yeah.
So, option. So. Ooh. Sorry, Shane. So that's
9 till 2, 7 days a week.
101 Burgess Road, isn't it?
Yes.
Burgess Road. So I'll give you that first because I've got it here. I'll give you their hours. I do know them, but I will read it just so like
Yeah.
it's absolutely spot on. So I don't want to give you any. Sorry, the computer's very slow. Current license, it's just been varied actually recently, 4th of the 4th, 2024. So this month, it's just issued a license. That one didn't come to committee, it was agreed conditions, that one.
Right,
That's of the police's, but we didn't have any resident representations on that one. So when it opens, I'll tell you the hours. I know the hours because they've just come up, because we just dealt with it, but I'll read it so it's fair. So the hours are supply of alcohol every day, 8 in the morning till 2 o'clock in the next day,
every day,
every day,
from what?
8 in the morning till 0200 hours the following day, and that's Monday to Sunday. And they're opening hours, just in case you're interested, 7 in the morning till 2 o'clock as well, following day.
Okay,
So there is another premises just along from that premises,
Mhm.
in Burgess Road. And I think that one is 117
Yeah,
Burgess Road.
Yeah.
And their licensing hours are don't think those long limb hours, but two of the hours are 9 in the morning till 2200 hours. And their opening hours are 6 till 2200 hours.
6 till 10.
6 till 22, yeah.
thank you. You being in the licensing team, have you had any complaints regarding this particular premises?
In the past we have,
Goes that?
but that was a couple of years ago. We used to have a few issues around there. We did used to get emails from 101 Burgess Road saying that they're operating beyond their hours, they're selling this and they're selling that. So we did investigate it, but we didn't just investigate that one, we investigated both shops.
Right,
This isn't when the current license holder's there. We haven't had no issues with since the current license holder's been there since, how long? Have you been?
December.
December, so we haven't had any go there. But previously to that, we did have a few complaints. Some of them were correct because we did find some failures, and we found some failures on 101 Burgess Road as well.
right, okay.
But we haven't had any complaints in relation since December, certainly. But
And when was the last time any of our officers visited the premises?
I think there was a visit done a little while ago.
Yeah.
We were there, wasn't it? And,
I think February.
yeah. So,
And
and I think there wasn't an issue. I think either Steve Jackson or Suleiman went there.
Police. Police.
Oh, and
the police as
went.
well.
Well, yeah.
right, okay, so you were quite content with?
Yes, we were quite
From
content with the premises being running as it should be.
Right, thank you. Councillor Loftus.
Only on clarification on that point. You said about 2 years ago, was that the last, what one might call valid complaint?
I haven't got their details on me, but we used to get a number of complaints,
Yes.
and residents as well. We used to complain, but not just about that shop, about the area.
Yeah.
So that's why we sort of looked at it, but we haven't had any complaints because we did get I want to say a couple of years ago, but it might have been a year or so ago. We used to get street drinkers in and around that area, but we haven't had any issues recently.
Recently is over a year.
Oh, well, since the last one, which is a year or so ago.
Right,
I'm not saying they're not there, but
no, but,
we haven't had any sort of complaints from that.
right, wonderful.
I think that's it, yes. Yes.
Councillor Vaughan?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Apart from the resident who's complained or objected against the application, there seem not to be any objections from other responsible bodies.
Mhm.
Were they aware of this application?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we distribute the application to all the responsible authorities. Police picked up it as it did 101 as well. And they spoke to the applicant and the applicant's agent, and they looked at it and agreed conditions which are on the report. And they were quite happy with what the police said. I think it wasn't massive. It was just adjusting some of the conditions that to make it like read a bit better more than because there was a number of conditions on it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the responsible authorities got it. The blue notice was correct and the newspaper was correct. So they had an opportunity to make representations, trading standards, noise and nuisance, and obviously us as well. No one did.
Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you.
I think what it was as well is the police looked at it and looked at conditions, and they send it to us, and we look at the conditions and we sort of like work together to say, yeah, we're happy to do that as a collective, and
Yeah,
so that's why we didn't make reps.
because that's something that we depend quite a lot on in terms of police and local communities and so forth.
Yeah.
Objecting to this type of application. So hence that's not raising the question. So that's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. I think you could answer this, Colin, but anyway, the conditions that are on the current licence, and I appreciate there's a little bit of,
Yeah, there's some,
but by and large, are those conditions, have they been transferred from the previous premises or were they new to this
no,
licence?
they've been transferred from, well, they're the conditions that are on the license at the moment,
Yeah,
but there's some adjustments to be made
Yes.
because it reads better than what it did before. And sometimes when a variation comes in, it's not uncommon that we do that because sometimes conditions go on there, and when it's varied in sort of 3 or 4 years' time, they're not relevant anymore, or they need changing for whatever reason. So sometimes we don't actually take conditions off or put conditions on. We tend to adjust what's there to make it read better or to make it a bit stronger wording.
but otherwise, apart from those amendments, those conditions would have been with the premises before the current.
Absolutely. When it's transferred over, the conditions transfer with the license. The applicant, the new person cannot play with the license, can't adjust the license until they come to us and ask for, look, we want to take this off the license, we want to put this on the license, we want this. They have to come to us before they can change anything of the license. They can transfer it, anyone can transfer a license, but that's the license until they change it through right channels.
So might I assume that they've been fairly effective for a couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the conditions are there obviously to protect the public and prevent public nuisances and crime disorder, and that's why conditions are put on the license. And we've had no complaints, so that's one of the reasons. I mean, if we'd been getting regular complaints from that shop, then we'd know them conditions aren't strong enough. So when they did vary it, we had two mechanisms. We could have reviewed it if, as you know, if a premises is failing, or when they vary the license, we can adjust the premises conditions to prevent more problems. So that's what we've done. In this case, we didn't see it fit because we've had no issues with these premises, certainly since these guys have taken over.
Thank you.
All right. This has nothing to do with your report. The objection that came in from the resident, just looking over it, I just want to know your views on what he's actually submitted to us as representation.
I mean, it's not a very strong representation, I've got to say. However, we have to take it on its own merit in relation to does it hit the criteria of a representation, which it does. So we have to accept it as a. I mean, the law's changed in the sense that it hasn't got to be in the proximity of the premises anymore. It's a person that can make, so you can make a representation against the premises, even if you're living 10 miles away, but your family live next door.
Yeah.
And you walk past and you're intimidated when you walk. I'm just giving this as an example.
Yes.
That person can make representation against the application because they're affected by these premises, although they not live. And that's one of the reasons why they changed the law, because we used to put a circle around the premises. Anybody outside that circle can't make, which is silly really, because anybody can be affected by a premises. So when I look at a premises application, a representation, they have to, it has to be based on one or all of the 4 licenses and objectives. And if it does base its as loosely as it may be, we have to accept it. And what we do is, if it is a loose one, we will go down to the premises and speak to them who, just any sort of wrongdoing, because it can't be frivolous, it can't be vexatious. It has to be a relevant one, and we do all our due diligence to try and make sure it is. But and if we can't find any reason why it's not vexatious, we have to accept it.
Right.
Done in this case.
And just for the purposes, as the resident isn't here, how many times did you try and contact him before?
I've emailed him a few times. Obviously, I've emailed him to say that we've accepted his letter of representation. Frank sent us a response which I sent to him. I got nothing back. I told him the date and time of the hearing twice. So 4 or 5 times, I'd say. I've emailed him since I've received it.
Yeah.
And I've had no response. Until this morning, yesterday. But that, to be fair, it's not uncommon. Sometimes I do that and I don't get no response, but they still turn up.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that that's wrong that he didn't email. It'd be lovely for him to email me back so I knew what was going on, and then I could have questioned it a little bit more. But it's not uncommon that residents don't email me back.
Fine. Thank you very much. I have no further questions. Please.
As we've touched on the representation, one of the phrases in it is that it was run like a bar. Do you have any comment on that regarding the previous?
Well, I mean, the only thing I can say about that,
Feels like a
bar.
Like a bar.
bar, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Run like a bar, sorry.
The background related.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can say about that is previously, again, this isn't anything to do with what we've got at the moment. Previously, they used to, and this is one of the reasons we went in there, is they used to, I wouldn't say encourage, but some of the products encourage street drinkers. So they used to sort of go in there and they used to stand outside and drink the drinks outside that they were buying within the premises. I wouldn't say it was a bar, but I understand the comment to say, because again, nothing to do with this people. I drove past there late one night and there was 5 or 6 people standing outside that particular shop drinking alcohol. But we haven't had that for a while.
Again.
So that's where I think the reference might be to a bar.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a bar inside it, or there wasn't a bar inside it. I think that might be in the reference to that people as standing outside drinking.
Thanks for the clarification.
No more questions?
I think, yeah, we might be able to address that question. So,
Yeah.
but,
Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay. Now it's your opportunity to present your report.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. To be honest, much of what I'm going to say has been brought out during those sort of questions and what have you. So I won't apologise for repeating, because I think it's important for me to reiterate just a couple of matters that have been brought out. As we've heard, it is an application to vary the licence today. It's not an application to review the licence, where nothing's up for grabs, so to speak. We're saying, should we be allowing the extended hours that are requested? And as it's been brought out already, those extended hours is for 1 additional hour to the terminal hour for the sale of alcohol from Sunday through to Thursday, and an additional 2 hours to the terminal hour on a Friday and a Saturday.
Right.
Yes, it is also requested that the opening time starts from 7 o'clock in the morning, rather than the current 8 o'clock. And what that would mean in practice is that the premises could open at 7. They're not allowed to sell any alcohol until 9 on any day. During those 2 hours, every piece of alcohol is kept behind lock and key. There is no access to alcohol for any customers. All spirits are behind the sales counter in any event. And like I say, the alcohol is not for sale. And that's made clear to customers because it's locked in locked cabinets. Stress that. The applicant, Mr. Dishanthan Mahendran, is the premises licence holder. He's also the designated premises supervisor for the premises. He comes from a family business of retail shops. He himself has over 18 years experience working in family shops that sell alcohol. So he's fully conversant with the requirements of the licensing laws, etc., the licensing conditions. He's held a personal license for over 10 years as well. So, you know, and he's never had any problems with any of the authority personnel whilst either managing premises or being the holder of a personal license. As we've heard, he became the premises license holder of this shop in the Altmore Arms in December last year. And whilst much has been discussed this morning by yourselves about things that have gone on previously, I would stress that anything that's happened previously is nothing to do with the applicant today, and therefore anything, whether there's any truth in what's been written or not, that should not disadvantage this applicant in today's application, because it's historic. It's not attributed to this gentleman at all, and I respectfully submit that. You have also heard that he has himself been the subject of a licensing visit from, I think it was Mr. Jackson and the police.
It was.
In fact, there's been 2 visits. After the first visit, a couple of minor advices were issued, were offered. The premises were revisited and everything that had been advised had been all put right, and one happy police licensing officer and one happy council licensing officer. And I think I can confidently say that because they've not put a representation in a time when they know an application is forthcoming. So that's really pleasing and a credit to Mr. Mahendran. The representation itself, I'll start by saying a representation to a variation should focus on the nature of the variation only. In other words, why they've already got a license to sell alcohol between 9 and 11. Why would it be problematical if they were selling alcohol until midnight or until 1 a.m? And that's where the nature of the representation should be focused. The gentleman's representation talks about historic problems, run as a bar, people drinking in the street, children needing to be protected. Well, with respect, children need to be protected 24 hours a day, not just for those extended hours that are being sought. These premises have never been the subject of a review application. If that gentleman thought that that was a real problem, he could apply to review the licence, of course, but he hasn't. But I think it's important for you to have a little bit of a background information here, because the day that notice for this application was displayed at the premises, somebody from the shop opposite came and took a photo. And lo and behold, an application is submitted for their premises as well. So the 2 applications were going in tandem. You've seen that the application for number 101 was to allow the sale of alcohol until 2 o'clock each morning, 7 days of the week. Mr. Mahendra's is till midnight for 5 days and for 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, if the gentleman that's made the representation was that concerned about the extended hours for the sale of alcohol, I have to ask a question as to why no representation was made in respect of the other shop as well. We can tell you, and I was hoping to be able to sort of ask this question of the person directly, but I was hoping to confirm that he is actually a relative of the person that manages number 101. We believe he's an uncle. Now, Dushan lives in the area. He knows the local people. He's spoken to the person several times. He knows they're related. He knows, and for those reasons, we suspect that this representation is vexatious. In other words, it's based on business rivalry. It's a delaying tactic. It's a stalling tactic. So to stop Mr. Mahendra from being able to operate to those new hours straight away, it's effectively delayed things by 4 weeks as it is. And with respect to the gentleman not being able to asking for an adjournment, who's to know that there wouldn't be another request for an adjournment further down the line. So it's very difficult to prove that without the person being here. But I think the circumstances tend to, and we are allowed within a hearing of this nature to bring circumstantial evidence to you. We know he's related. We have no doubt that, well, the representation was not a surprise at all to Mr. Mahendran. The fact that he hasn't turned up today was no surprise at all to Mr. Mahendran. All of this has been going on in the background whilst this application has been pending. That's not to say that we don't respect somebody's democratic right to make a representation. Of course we do. And I'll be the first to say that if there was anything within the representation that I believe did need to be addressed by Mr. Mahendran, then I would be offering that advice, let alone the licensing team themselves. So I think on that note, the representation, I believe, should have no weight whatsoever. That's my honest and firm belief based on the evidence. We've already heard that there's no representations from the police. There's no representation from the licensing authority. In fact, there's no representation from any other responsible authority, nor is there any representation from any other person that lives in that community. You've seen the pictures yourself. very, very residential area, but only one representation from somebody who we say it amounts to a vexatious representation. And just before finishing, Chair, to clarify the conditions, the email and the correspondence that we had with PC Stote, Connor Stote, it was all about updating the conditions and making them more current, because it had been some years, and it's certainly my experience, and I'm sure it's Colin's experience as well. But over time, you decide, well, conditions that really needs to be reworded, and that needs to be reworded. So there's already robust conditions, especially to tackle the street drinkers. No single cans. There's no spirits below a certain size. There's nothing over 6% by volume. All of those measures designed to deter those street drinkers, of course. We're not in a special policy area, and for those reasons, I would ask you to grant this application as applied for, Chair. I'll give way to questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Loftus, would you like to start?
Well, the simple and obvious question, I suppose, is why do you want to extend your hours?
Because most of the customers now is the student customers, and they working really late, and they come really like after 11 o'clock only they come. So when they finish the work, so for them is those customers, they will ask me like, why do you guys close at 11 o'clock? It's not just only alcohol, it's just they buy the other stuff with the groceries and that. So that's fine.
Goes on busier later.
Yeah.
And yes, another, what is your experience of street drinkers in the area?
Oh, as in, I won't say before it was worse. It was like a couple of years ago, I would say there is a lot of street drinkers. We try to avoid them. But recent years is reduced, as in like last year since it's reduced very, very less, as in like not.
What do you think, what do you think you've done differently to deter them?
As in, we know the street drinkers, they come early in the morning to buy it, really like obviously. And we tell, as regular customers, we know like who is a street drinker, so we stop serving them. And even if we don't know the street drinkers, when they buy it outside and start drinking or something, we stop them like next time. We don't serve those customers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, sorry,
And
do you want to continue?
only that's more or less it. But you do have bottle marking, yes.
Sorry.
You have bottle and can marking.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you had sold street drinkers, there'd be evidence knocking around the street, wouldn't there?
To be honest, since I'm running.
So do you have to mark your bottles?
Yeah.
Your own labels?
Yeah.
I think that's what you're trying to say. So
Yeah.
if a street drinker bought a product from your
Yeah.
shop, Colin could tell it's come from your shop.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
They're the ones who tend to deposit their bottles
Yeah.
in the road, aren't they? Yes.
So,
Thank you.
thank you, Jane. Are there, so how many members of staff work?
Every time 2 members.
2 members all the time,
Oh.
and you're going to be there those extended hour times?
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to this representation from the resident, it states that you have alcoholic drinks advertised, or you could see the alcohol through the windows. Is that true?
As in, like, we got a display, as in, like, we never change the place. Well, it's just the poster.
It's a
And
poster.
yeah, it's a poster. So
Window.
it's in the same place, but it's in a poster.
Right, so it's not literally bottles of alcohol you can see directly through the window.
Now I think you can see the bottles outside. As in, it's not like a big, it's a small. But if you want me to cover that with the posters or something, I will.
Okay.
Happy to.
Out of curiosity, your neighbour at 101,
Yeah.
has he got the same kind of posters in the window
Yeah, he's got.
with alcohol content?
Yeah. Yes. He's got posters.
Yeah.
As in, sorry, but this clearly, I know this person because I've been living in this near like nearly 20 years, and my parents are live on Kempton Road, so we got like other shop, and I've seen him. This guy very well known. I know him he like 2 weeks before he come and spoke to my dad and saying when my dad was in the car outside the premises and he knocked on the window, he's talking like he's a normal guy, normal person, as in,
Yeah.
but he saw my dad since December that road, but he never spoke to him like since this incident happened, he was saying like he is coming and talking like, how are you, this, that, all that.
Sorry,
I'm pretty sorry.
can I clarify, was the question, does the shop opposite have bottles in the window?
No, has he
Was
got the
it
same
posters?
posters?
Posters, yeah.
with the bottles on it.
Oh,
All right, just going back to the rep again, it states that you have been selling promotional, where is it? Half-price spirits.
No. How I want to like right now economic crisis and that, yeah, why would I squeeze my profit and sell it for half prices?
Need it to be noted
Yeah,
and on record.
yeah.
Yeah, so you've read the representation. What are your feelings on this?
About this,
About the children?
all this, yeah.
Yeah.
But to be honest, you know, is clearly made by the opposite guy. Like he made this the whole thing about this. Otherwise, there is so many residents are there.
Exactly.
They never come up with, if it's really, if I'm running like a bar or if too many people drinking outside, since December, I got the shop, at least 1, 2, any other reputations, like before the application, they would have complained to you guys, isn't it?
You say you have family retail.
Yeah,
Is it all in the grocery and,
yeah, grocery and off license, yeah.
yeah? Okay, councillor Vaughan, any questions?
I think you've done very well by putting my question.
Okay,
But what,
Yes.
Michael's explanation,
yeah,
the conditions, calling that here, are these ones that were added?
So I don't know if you've got coloured one there. All the ones in red are the
amended,
adjusted.
Justin.
They're just adjusted. They're not changed, they're just amended. So like Frank says, they read better when, for us really, more than, and for them, so they're more understanding. So when I go in there or when my team go in there and they do a compliance visit, they're not ambiguous. They're very clear of,
Yeah, not
that's what we want
ambiguous.
to see on a license rather than, what does that mean? So it just makes it a bit stronger for both. So he understands and we can enforce better.
Thank you very much.
Right,
Say all of those requested amendments were very readily agreed by the applicant. Problem at all.
Just going back, Chair, I can confirm, I'm just looking at, I know it's 2022, but they have got bottles in the window from 101
right.
Burgess Road. So it's
They're literally mimicking each other.
it's very similar poster, to be honest with you.
All right.
They're the same, basically. They're not sort of,
Okay, well, I have no further questions. So we're going to adjourn the meeting now. We're going to deliberate. Reggie will call you back. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
someone.
Did you stop?
yes, I'm going to.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming back. We have made a decision. Would you like to inform them as to this?
The licensing committee has considered all the representations made to it very carefully and has decided that the variation should be granted. In addition, the police amended conditions will be entered on the license.
Thank you. And once again, the applicant, responsible authorities or interested parties may appeal against the decision to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days. This meeting's now ended. Good luck.